First of all, good morning to all, and especially thanks to the organizer and Dr. Somi Chatterjee to invite me. And a very interesting discussion. I think I heard the professor, and she was making very valid points. Because my time limit is 10 minutes, so I would like to convey only few things. So it's like 10 to 12 minutes. Yeah, I'm asking the organizer. It's like the duration is 10 to 12 minutes.
14-15 minutes. 15.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You can.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, when you invited me for this 2 days international conference, and I was thinking that, obviously I'm not expert in human rights or even child rights, women rights, and now we are talking about men's rights. So I thought that what should I do? Should I read something? Should I read some international literature? Should I read some laws of different countries like the European, American, or some other countries? Or should I reflect on our country's situation and I should talk to people? Because sometimes what we observe that, when we talk to the real people who are executing laws like the police, lawyers, judges, then somehow you get the real picture. And what I can say about this men's right issue, that our society and our laws, like the lawmaking process, they are not matching the way our society is progressing, but our laws are always reactive. Okay. And one thing, this lawmaking process, like obviously if we see the parliamentary system, then we see the laws are made in Delhi, and a lot of lobbyings are happening, to make a law, not to make a law, different vested groups. But when we see the country, this is not a country. This is like a complete mix of many civilizations. So when you live in Delhi, and if you are spending some time in south of Delhi, then maybe you meet different type of people. They need different type of laws. But in the same city, if you go to East Delhi, or if you move around like 60-70 kilometers away from Delhi, you meet different type of people. So what I am trying to say, that when our society requires something, then that requirement is not similar for everyone. Okay. But somehow the people who have some, when I say women's right, it's not necessary that it should be against the men's. And the same thing when we talk about men's right, it's not necessary to be against women. What we require in our country, obviously this is just like a philosophical discussion, but somehow we are losing balance. We are losing honest, intellectual, unbiased discussion where we can talk about people, we can talk about citizens, we can talk about different needs of society. Because one law cannot change the entire fabrics of the society. Okay, we should not forget that India is not controlled by rules and regulations, but it's mostly controlled by traditions, value system, social ethical fabrics, which is beyond law. Okay, when you see the developed world or the Western societies like the Europe or US, then mostly you will find that now their value system is very much connected with the legal system. Whatever law says, they follow. But in India, because of too much diversity in our country, even I was talking only about Delhi, but if you move around in this country, you will find maybe more than 200 different types of culture, different type of value system. So first of all, we need to understand this is a complex issue. This is not a simple issue that, okay, you make a law. See, I'm challenging the too much validity of law. Okay, because as a professor of law, what I believe that somehow we are giving too much importance to law and legal system and ignoring the social fabric. So first we need to integrate the social fabric and the diversity of this country. Second thing we need to talk about, that laws cannot work in vacuum. Like yesterday only, I believe you must have read that 2 police officers did something very horrible act with a additional district judge. So what will you do now? Will you make a law to protect the judges? If you start making laws for everything, things will not happen. The problem is somewhere else. And the problem is that people don't worry about law. So how to create a culture? How to create a culture where people respect the laws, rules, regulations? That is something missing. And that will come from education. Education starts from home, then school, then colleges, universities, and then offices. Education never ends. So first we need to educate our people from the age of 4 to maybe 70, 80. As I said, education never ends. That please respect laws. Okay. So that's my first takeaway, that still in this country, we have large level of legal illiteracy. People don't know the laws. And now, okay, some people can argue why women are abusing their system. Yeah, they are abusing, but our men are not abusing. Everybody is abusing legal system in this country. Like it doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman. If you have some power, you like to abuse, because we don't have a system where we can punish those people who are abusing the system. Okay, so if you file a false case, I know there are some provisions in IPC and CRPC where action can take place against you, but in real life it doesn't happen. Courts are so occupied that they cannot go beyond the rules, regulations, procedures and see the real picture. So until and unless we don't have a culture of respecting laws, rules, it will be difficult to convince people that please don't abuse the law. Okay, in our country this is well accepted. Yeah, if I can abuse the law, I must abuse the law. Right? That's the first cultural part. Second thing is, when I say that men's are suffered because of the too much powers given to women's right, no, this is not the situation. Still in our country, I must say 80 to 90% women are not having any legal protection. If you move around in this country, if you go to small villages or small towns where 80% India is living right now, you can't find any mechanism where a woman can raise her voice. For example, if you're living in a small village in India, maybe Rajasthan, UP, Bihar, Andhra, Karnataka, or in Meghalaya, anywhere, if woman is suffering, the nearest police station is maybe 30 to 40 kilometers, and that police station is generic. It's not the women's police station. That's a point number one. Second, if she wants to file a case, then at the district level there is only one judge, family judge. So maybe the district is maybe 60, 70, 80 kilometers. So what I'm trying to say, that so far the women's rights have not been implemented very well in this country. The only women living in metro cities, well educated, smart enough to understand the system and who can afford good lawyers, expensive lawyers, they are abusing the system. So it's not against the woman, but against the system which is allowing those women to abuse the system. Go to any police station, you will understand my statement very clearly. You cannot file any case without paying any bribe. That's point number one. And our CRPC allows police officers to investigate before filing the FIR or any case. That's a point number one. Second, when we go to the courtrooms, then you will find that justice is not there. Judges who are working as a family lawyer, family judges, believe me, like if you talk to any judges, like especially the family judges, it seems to be a punishment posting. They don't like it. And maybe in one district there are maybe more than 1,000 cases and one judge. So it's not working. So men are suffering not because of the laws, but because of the system. Men will not mind if a woman files a case. That's fine, it's her right. Then the police must do fair investigation and judge should conduct a fair trial and give the order or judgment in a reasonable time, 6 months, 1 year, then it's fine. The problem is not with the laws, but with our procedure and the system. When things are happening for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, then that is the abuse of law. Okay, but can you say that this abuse of law is happening with only women's right? Is it not happening with other civil and criminal cases? So I can say this is a complex issue, and we have to have a balanced approach. Because if we start saying that, okay, few women, maybe 5 or 7% women in this country are abusing the law, so we should dilute the laws, I think that's not fair with 95% women who have not accessed the justice so far. So what we need to do, we need to make laws, system and procedures, infrastructure in the judges, in courtrooms, where people can get fair justice. So you should not forget that it's not about man or woman. In this country, I have spoken with many judges, and it's all about power. If you have power, if you have network, if you have money, if you have connections, then you can abuse the system, and that's a problem. And then a woman can suffer, a man can suffer. And yes, no doubt, recently what we have seen in last 20 years, especially in metro cities, that women are abusing the relevant provisions like 498 and the so many other things. But you can see the laws are also acting. Now, I remember before 10 to 15 years, filing a 498A case was very easy, but now it's difficult. First, it will go to the women's cell for the mediation. Then it requires DCP's approval to file the case. So now it's a little bit more fair for a man to present his own arguments. Okay, and getting a bail is not very problematic in Delhi, at least. But if you move outside of Delhi, still it's a problem. So obviously in 10 to 15 minutes, it's easy to convey the entire complex issue. But what is my takeaway? What is my learning? And I think Dr. Somi and we are trying to develop a men's center for men's right in my law school. And our objective is that let's examine what's going on. Who is responsible? Like we cannot take a judgment. Okay, it's happening because of some women's. No. I think that's not fair. We need to change this system, and system will take time because system is okay. So now in our country, people are talking about men's right. I think it's not about men's right. It's more about justice. Okay, that a party, the opposite party, the accused must get fair trial and must get the justice. It's not about woman or man. Okay, so if we move beyond this concept, that's a man or woman, as the professor said earlier, that why we are having still that mentality that man versus woman. So it's not about man versus woman, it's about the people, the citizens, and the judicial system and justice. Thank you very much.